Prime Minister Narendra Modi has held the first bilateral meet with newly elected Sri Lankan President Dissanayake at Delhi's Hyderabad House. India and Sri Lanka are set to sign 4 key agreements, including one on cyber security. President Dissanayake chose India as his first port call overseas after taking office. Earlier on Monday, President Draupadi Murmu accorded a ceremonial welcome to the Sri Lankan President at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Tabla maestro Zakir Hussain has passed away in a hospital in San Francisco. His family has confirmed. The 73-year-old Zakir Hussain died from complications arising out of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. He had been in the hospital for the past 2 weeks and was shifted to the intensive care unit after his condition deteriorated. Regarded as the greatest tabla player of his generation, Zakir Hussain is survived by his wife and 2 daughters. Born on the 9th of March 1951, he was the son of legendary tabla master Ustad Allah Rakha. Bangladesh's interim leader Muhammad Yunus, who heads the caretaker government installed after an August revolution, has said that general elections will be held late 2025 or in early 26. Now, pressure has been growing on the Nobel Peace Prize winner to set an election date. Yunus was appointed the country's chief advisor after the student-led uprising that toppled ex-premier Sheikh Hasina in August. Bangladesh's deposed Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has launched a fierce attack on the interim administration, accusing its chief advisor Muhammad Yunus of running a quote-unquote fascist regime that allows terrorists and fundamentalists to act without restraint. In a virtual address to a gathering of overseas Awami League supporters in London on Sunday, Hasina accused Yunus of being the mastermind behind the July-August turmoil that ousted her and vowed to bring him to justice under the Bangladeshi law. Hasina has criticized Yunus and his interim government for their alleged persecution of religious minorities in Bangladesh. At least several hundred people are feared to have been killed after the worst cyclone in almost a century ripped through the French-Indian overseas territory Mayotte on Saturday, uprooting trees, tearing houses apart, and pounding the impoverished archipelago's already weak infrastructure. Rescuers have been dispatched to the islands, which lie between the coast of Mozambique and Madagascar. But their efforts are likely to be hindered by damage to airports and electricity distribution in an area where clean drinking water is subject to chronic shortages. The archipelago's prefect has said he has rather confirmed toll of 11 dead was likely to soar over the coming days. Israel's government has agreed to double its population in the occupied Golan Heights, while saying threats from Syria remain, despite the moderate tone of rebel leaders who forcibly removed President Bashar al-Assad a week ago. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in a statement, has said strengthening the Golan is strengthening the state of Israel, and it is especially important at this time. We will continue to hold on to it, cause it to blossom and settle it in.
אין לנו עניין להתעמת עם סוריה. אנחנו נקבע את מדיניות ישראל כלפי סוריה לפי המציאות המתהווה בשטח. אני מזכיר שבמשך עשרות שנים סוריה הייתה מדינת אויב אקטיבית לישראל. היא תקפה אותנו שוב ושוב, היא אפשרה לאחרים לתקוף אותנו משטחה, היא אפשרה לאיראן לחמש את חיזבאללה דרך שטחה.
Former Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad airlifted nearly 2 tons of cash worth $250 million to Russia during 2018 and 2019, as per documents that the Financial Times has reviewed. Now, Syria's toppled dictator secretly transported around $250 million in cash to Moscow over a 2-year period, during which Syria heavily relied on Russia's support. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said He spoke with US President-elect Donald Trump about developments in Syria and a recent push to secure the release of Israeli and foreign hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. Netanyahu said he spoke with Trump on Saturday night about the issue, which will loom large as one of the main foreign challenges facing Trump when he takes office if it is not resolved before he is sworn in on the 20th of January next year. The Wall Street Journal has reported that a secretive Russian intelligence agency is behind Moscow's most intense campaign of repression since the 1950s. The story, first written by journalist reporter Ivan Gershkovich, since he was freed after 16 months in a Russian prison, spotlights the Department for Counterintelligence Operations, which led to Gershkovich's arrest initially. Russia has claimed that its forces hit multiple Ukrainian military targets, including a fighter jet, on Sunday. This, while Ukraine claims that its troops have repelled Russian attacks as fierce battles continue raging on between the warring parties. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces has reported over 100 fights on the front lines as of Sunday afternoon. Ukrainian forces announced that the Russian army launched intensive attacks in the directions of Pokrovsk and Kurakov, and that they continue to hold positions and have repelled several of Moscow's attacks. Han Dong-hoon has resigned as the leader of South Korea's ruling People's Power Party, saying his position has become untenable after his dramatic decision to support President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment over the weekend. Speaking at a press conference, Han said, and I quote, "Martial law is the advanced nation that is South Korea in 2024. How angry and disappointed must you all have been?" His announcement comes as the Constitutional Court said it has begun reviewing Yoon's impeachment without giving further details. Now, investigators also plan to question the president this week, according to Yonhap News. Han, once Yoon's closest ally, former Justice Minister, defended his decision to break with the president after he attempted to impose martial law earlier this month.
국민의힘 당대표직을 내려놓습니다. 최고위원들의 사퇴로 최고위가 붕괴되어 더 이상 당대표로서의 정상적인 임무 수행이 불가능해졌습니다. 이번 비상계엄 사태로 고통받으시는 모든 국민들께 진심으로 죄송합니다.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz faces a confidence vote. He is expected to lose today, paving the way for a snap election early 2025. Scholz himself called the vote, and if he loses, he will have to ask Germany's President Frank-Walter Steinmeier to dissolve parliament in a process which would trigger fresh elections. New elections must be held within 60 days of parliament being dissolved in Germany. Scholz, who leads the central-left Social Democrats, or the SPD party, reached an agreement with opposition parties to hold early federal election on the 23rd of February next year. Pro-European Union protesters took to the streets in Georgia as an electoral college dominated by the ruling party has chosen a new president, known for his vehement anti-West views and opposition to LGBTQ rights. Here are the details. Former soccer player Mikhail Kalevashvili became president of Georgia on Saturday, as the ruling party tightened its grip in what the opposition calls a blow to the country's European Union aspirations and a victory for former imperial ruler Russia. The new president, who was the only candidate on the ballot, easily won the vote given the Georgian Dream Party's control of a 300-seat electoral college that replaced direct presidential elections in 2017. It is made up of members of parliament, municipal councils, and regional legislatures. According to reports, Argentina's President Javier Milei has been granted Italian citizenship while on a state visit to the country. Now, Milei, who has 3 Italian grandparents who emigrated to Argentina in 1926, before he was even born, was accorded it on the grounds of ius sanguinis, or his bloodline. The spokesperson said Milley's sister and political advisor Karina Milley was also granted Italian citizenship during the visit to Rome, during which the pair attended the political convention of the Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's far-right Brothers of Italy party. US President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris thanked deep-pocketed Democratic donors on Sunday. Now, these are the same donors who raised record sums in last month's election loss to President-elect Donald Trump and urged them not to lose hope and to remain politically engaged. Now, Biden and Harris, along with their spouses, in remarks at the Democratic National Committee holiday reception, sought to buckle up key donors who the Democratic Party needs to stay committed as it tries to pick up the pieces. Republicans scored a decisive victory, taking the White House and Senate while maintaining control of the House in an election where donors of all political stripes spent about $4.7 billion American dollars.
We all get knocked down. My dad would say, when you get knocked down, you just got to get up. Get up. The measure of a person or a party is how fast they get back up. And to know what we believe in is really worth fighting for.
We are here tonight to thank you all for the work that you have done. And it has been tireless work. When it mattered most, through the entire campaign, including those 107 days, you all rallied. You rallied. You opened your homes. You reached out to your friends and your family. You put your personal capital, and by that I mean your relationships.
Fijian Health and Tourism Authority said on Monday that 7 foreign tourists have been hospitalized in Fiji with nausea, vomiting, and neurological symptoms after drinking cocktails at the bar of a resort. Taking to local media in Canberra on Monday, Australia's Treasurer Jim Chalmers said it was a very concerning incident. Now, the group included 4 Australians and an American, according to local news reports. They were drinking together at the 5-star Warwick Resort near the town of Sigatoka before they became ill.
The last thing I wanted to say was about the situation in Fiji. This is very concerning news out of Fiji, with 4 Australians hospitalised over the weekend. We're thinking of the friends and family of the people who are affected. This is no doubt a very distressing time for them. DFAT officials are in contact with those affected Australians and they're providing consular assistance. I wanted to thank and acknowledge the very fine people of DFAT for the effort that goes in situations like this. Fiji police are investigating to determine the cause of the illnesses, and we'll try and keep people updated as that investigation continues.